There is one simple rule about eating that most seniors with sciatica have never heard, and that has nothing to do with what you eat. It has everything to do with when you stop. Because what happens inside your sciatic nerve during the hours after your last meal of the day? Specifically during the window when your body has finished processing food and shifts into a completely different biological state, is one of the most powerful natural nerve repair processes available to you. A process so specific and so targeted to damaged nerve tissue that researchers studying it have called it the body's own internal maintenance system. A process that your sciatic nerve desperately needs every single night, and that most seniors are accidentally preventing from happening by eating too late. Tonight I'm telling you exactly what time to stop eating, exactly what happens to your sciatic nerve during the hours that follow, and exactly why this one simple daily habit could produce nerve repair results that no supplement has ever matched. And real quick, if someone you know has been doing everything right for their sciatica and still not getting the results they deserve, pause right now and send this video to them. Because what we are about to share costs absolutely nothing and takes zero effort beyond one small daily decision about timing. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now. Every week this channel brings you honest, practical information that most appointments never have time to cover. Now let us get completely into this. My name is Dr. Michael Kent, and in 20 years of senior health practice, one of the most consistent patterns I have observed in patients who plateau in their sciatica recovery, who improve somewhat but never fully resolve, is that they are unknowingly preventing their body's most powerful overnight nerve repair system from activating every single night. Not through any dramatic mistake, through one simple timing habit that most people never connect to nerve pain: eating too late in the evening. Before I explain the science, let me share a story that reflects what many patients in this situation experience. All details have been changed to protect privacy. A patient came to me, a senior in their mid-60s, who had been managing sciatica for approximately 14 months. They were doing genuinely well with their protocol, walking every morning, taking their supplements consistently, sleeping in the right position. Their pain had improved from a peak of 7 to 8 down to a consistent 4 to 5, and there it stayed, month after month, the same 4 to 5. Nothing they added moved it further. They were frustrated. They felt like their body had simply decided this was as good as things were going to get. During a detailed lifestyle conversation, I asked about their evening routine: dinner at approximately 8 in the evening, a small snack, crackers, sometimes a piece of fruit, around 9:30 or 10, bed at 11. I explained what was happening biologically during those overnight hours as a result of that timing. Their body was spending the first 4 to 5 hours of their sleep still processing the evening snack, still producing insulin, still in storage and digestion mode, rather than activating the cellular repair processes their sciatic nerve needed. The nerve was not getting its repair window. Every single night, we made one change: moved the last meal to 6:30 in the evening. Nothing else. Same foods, same supplements, same exercise, same sleep position, just stop eating by 6:30. 4 weeks later, they came back. Pain score, 2 to 3. The first time below 4 in over a year. They had not added a single new supplement. They had not changed their diet. They had simply given their sciatic nerve the overnight repair window it had been waiting for every single night for 14 months. Tonight, I am explaining exactly what happened during those overnight hours and exactly why it worked. Here is the biology, simply and completely. When you eat any meal, any food, your blood sugar rises and your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is the hormone that signals your cells to absorb glucose from the blood and either use it for energy or store it as glycogen or fat. While insulin is elevated, your body is in what researchers call an anabolic or storage state, building, storing, processing, and critically for sciatica, not repairing at the cellular level the way your sciatic nerve needs it to. The cellular repair system that your sciatic nerve depends on for overnight maintenance is called autophagy. Autophagy, from the Greek meaning self-eating, is the process by which your cells identify damaged, dysfunctional, or worn-out cellular components, old mitochondria, misfolded proteins, oxidatively damaged lipid membranes, and systematically break them down and recycle them into raw materials for building new healthy cellular components. It is your body's internal quality control and maintenance system operating at the cellular level. And for the sciatic nerve, which has been accumulating cellular damage from months or years of chronic inflammation, autophagy is the primary biological mechanism through which that damage can be cleared and healthy nerve tissue rebuilt in its place. Here is the critical detail that most people never learn. Autophagy is suppressed by insulin. When insulin is elevated, as it is during and after eating, autophagy is essentially switched off. The cellular repair system goes dormant. Your nerve cells cannot clear their damaged components, cannot recycle their dysfunctional mitochondria, cannot rebuild the cellular architecture that chronic inflammation has been degrading. The repair window does not open until insulin has fallen to a low enough threshold, which requires a minimum of 10 to 12 hours after the last meal in most adults over 60 whose insulin sensitivity has declined with age. This means that if you eat your last food at 10 in the evening and wake at 6 in the morning, your body has had only 8 hours since your last insulin spike. Your sciatic nerve's autophagy window has barely opened by the time you wake up. The majority of your overnight hours were spent in the metabolic state that suppresses nerve repair rather than enabling it. But if you eat your last food at 6:30 in the evening and wake at 6:30 in the morning, your body has had 12 hours since your last meal. Autophagy has been fully activated for the final 4 to 5 hours of your sleep. Your sciatic nerve has had its full repair window. Night after night, the cumulative difference over weeks and months is the difference between a pain score that plateaus at 4 and a pain score that continues declining to 2. Research published in the journal Cell Metabolism confirmed that intermittent fasting, specifically the 12 to 16-hour overnight eating pause that time-restricted eating produces, significantly increased autophagy markers in multiple tissue types, including neural tissue. The researchers found that autophagy activation during the fasting window was associated with measurable improvements in cellular health markers, including mitochondrial function, the energy-producing system of nerve cells, and reductions in oxidative stress markers in nerve tissue. For the sciatic nerve whose cellular components have been under sustained oxidative assault from chronic inflammation, these autophagy-mediated improvements in mitochondrial health and oxidative stress represent exactly the kind of cellular-level repair that supplements address from the outside but can never fully replicate from within. Now here is the second mechanism, and this one surprises almost everyone who hears it. When your body has been without food for 10 to 12 hours and autophagy is fully active, it begins producing ketone bodies, specifically beta-hydroxybutyrate, as an alternative fuel source for cells, including nerve cells. Ketones are not just an energy source. They are signaling molecules with direct anti-inflammatory effects that operate completely independently of the dietary supplements most sciatica patients are already taking. Beta-hydroxybutyrate specifically inhibits the NLRP3 inflammasome, one of the primary inflammatory signaling complexes responsible for the chronic low-grade nerve inflammation that maintains sciatic nerve hypersensitivity even when the original compression source has partially resolved. Research published in the journal Nature Medicine found that beta-hydroxybutyrate produced during fasting states directly inhibited NLRP3 inflammasome activation, reducing interleukin-1 beta production in inflammatory tissue by measurable amounts. Interleukin-1 beta is one of the primary cytokines maintaining sciatic nerve sensitization in chronic sciatica patients. Its reduction through the ketone-mediated NLRP3 inhibition that overnight fasting produces directly reduces the inflammatory tone around the nerve and lowers the nerve's pain threshold. This is a mechanism completely separate from the omega-3 fatty acids, the magnesium, the turmeric, and the other anti-inflammatory interventions most patients are already using. Which is exactly why adding time-restricted eating to an existing protocol produces improvements that adding another supplement does not. The third mechanism is the effect of the overnight fasting window on insulin sensitivity and its downstream effects on nerve tissue inflammation. Chronically elevated insulin, which results from frequent eating patterns that prevent insulin from fully declining, drives a systemic pro-inflammatory state through multiple pathways, including increased production of inflammatory eicosanoids and increased expression of adhesion molecules on blood vessel walls in the nerve's vascular supply. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that time-restricted eating, producing a 12-hour daily fasting window, significantly improved insulin sensitivity in adults over 60 within 4 weeks, with the improvements in insulin sensitivity directly associated with reductions in systemic inflammatory markers including CRP and interleukin-6. For the sciatic nerve, whose blood supply and tissue environment are directly affected by systemic insulin and inflammation levels, these insulin sensitivity improvements represent another pathway through which the simple act of stopping eating earlier produces measurable nerve pain benefits. 3 mechanisms. Autophagy-mediated nerve cell repair, clearing the cellular debris of chronic inflammation. Ketone-derived beta-hydroxybutyrate inhibiting the NLRP, 3-inflammasome and reducing interleukin-1 beta in the nerve environment, and improved insulin sensitivity, reducing systemic inflammatory tone in the vascular supply of the sciatic nerve, all activated by one simple daily decision about when to eat your last meal. Here is exactly how to implement this protocol starting tonight. The target is a 12-hour minimum eating pause every night. For most seniors, the most practical and most sustainable way to achieve this is to set a firm cutoff time for the last meal or snack of the evening, and then not eat again until 12 hours later. If you typically wake at 6:30 in the morning, your last food of the evening should be consumed by 6:30 the previous evening. If you wake at 7, your last food should be by 7 the previous evening. The exact times are less important than the 12-hour minimum gap between them. Start with a strict no eating after 7 policy for the first 2 weeks if a 6:30 cutoff feels too restrictive. Even a 7 to 7 schedule, last food at 7 p.m., first food at 7 a.m., provides a 12-hour window that fully activates autophagy and ketone production in the final hours of sleep. After 2 weeks of consistent 7 p.m. cutoff, move to 6:30. After another 2 weeks, consider moving to 6 if your schedule allows. The earlier the cutoff, the longer the overnight fasting window and the more complete the autophagy activation and ketone production during the overnight hours when your sciatic nerve is doing its repair work. During the overnight fasting window, water is completely acceptable and beneficial. Adequate hydration supports the lymphatic clearance that works alongside autophagy to remove inflammatory debris from the nerve tissue environment. Herbal teas without honey or milk are also acceptable. They do not produce an insulin response and do not interrupt the fasting window. Coffee and tea without additives are acceptable in the morning when breaking the fast. Anything containing calories, any food, any caloric drink, any supplement containing significant caloric content breaks the fast and restarts the insulin response that suppresses autophagy. To maximize the autophagy activation during your overnight window, consider adding a brief 10-minute gentle walk immediately after your last meal of the evening. Post-meal walking significantly accelerates the clearance of glucose from the bloodstream, reducing the post-meal insulin spike and bringing insulin back to baseline faster than sitting or lying down after eating. Research published in the journal Sports Medicine found that a 10-minute walk after meals reduced post-meal blood glucose by approximately 22% compared to sitting, directly shortening the insulin elevation window and extending the effective autophagy activation period during the overnight hours that follow. To further support the overnight nerve repair process, that time-restricted eating enables, take magnesium glycinate at 300 to 400 milligrams as the last thing you consume before your cutoff time each evening. Magnesium directly supports mitochondrial function in nerve cells, working synergistically with the autophagy-mediated mitochondrial recycling that the overnight fasting window produces. The combination of magnesium-supported mitochondrial function and autophagy-driven mitochondrial quality control creates a comprehensive overnight nerve cell energy optimization that neither intervention produces as effectively alone. Give this protocol 4 weeks of absolutely consistent daily practice before evaluating results. The patient whose story opened this video noticed their first meaningful shift in week 4. Most patients following a genuine 12-hour overnight fasting window consistently report their first noticeable improvements in morning pain scores, the pain score immediately upon waking before movement loosens things up, between weeks 3 and 5. Track your morning pain score every single day. The trend over 4 weeks tells the real story. The patient from our opening story has maintained their 6:30 evening cutoff for 11 months. Their average daily pain score remains at 2 to 3, the lowest it has been throughout their sciatica journey. They describe the change as the most surprising improvement they have experienced, because they did nothing new. They simply stopped doing something old, eating too late, and gave their sciatic nerve the overnight repair window it had been waiting for every single night for 14 months. In 20 years of practice, the interventions that produce the most profound and most lasting improvements in chronic pain conditions are often the simplest. Not the most expensive, not the most complex. The ones that work with the body's own biological rhythms rather than trying to override them from the outside. Time-restricted eating is one of those interventions. It costs nothing. It requires no equipment. It produces no side effects. And it unlocks the most powerful nerve repair system your body has, the one it has been running every night since you were born, simply by giving it the metabolic window it needs to do its work. Stop eating by 6:30 tonight. Walk for 10 minutes after dinner, take your magnesium, go to sleep, and let your sciatic nerve do what it has been trying to do every single night, heal itself. Now, before you go, drop a comment right now and tell me your age and your city. And tell me, what time do you typically eat your last meal of the day? Have you ever connected your eating schedule to your sciatica recovery? I read every single comment personally. Share this with someone whose sciatica has plateaued despite doing everything else right. Subscribe and turn on notifications because every week this channel brings you something equally unexpected and equally practical. 6:30 tonight, your sciatic nerve's repair window finally opens. This video is for general educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice and does not create a doctor-patient relationship. All patient stories in this video are composites and have been altered to protect privacy. Any resemblance to a specific individual is unintentional. Time-restricted eating may not be appropriate for everyone, particularly individuals managing diabetes, hypoglycemia, eating disorders, or those taking medications requiring food. Always consult your qualified healthcare provider before making significant changes to your eating schedule, especially if managing serious health conditions or taking prescription medications. Dr. Michael Kent is a senior health educator with 20 years of experience in senior wellness. Nothing here intends to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any condition. Viewer discretion advised.